Hi everybody, welcome back. In this video, we are going to learn how we can store messages into this data stores. Okay, in the last video, we learned how we can create variable in this, manage store variables. So now first we need to understand when to use what, first of all. So if you want to just, set just a single value, then use variable. But if you want to say, save the entire message, that is where we can use data store. Okay, so for example, if you are receiving any message in your SAP CPI and for some reason if that message is failed or something, right, to the when you are processing that message actually to the third or any other API. So what you can do, those failover message you can dump into this data store, and you can have another iFlow to process those failed messages. I mean, I'm just trying to give you one example where you will use this kind of thing. Okay, so in this video we will just learn how we can store message into data store and read those back from the data store. Okay, so maybe I'll use the same package and I'll create a new iFlow. Just click on edit, and I will say first write, right? So I'll say write data store. Okay, click on edit and just let me do this basic thing. All right, so just like we have variable for writing to the store variable, similarly we have something called data operations. So if you scroll to the bottom, you will see these methods: data store operations. We have delete, get, select, and write. So we'll be using actually basically the right one. Okay, so that is where it will help us in writing the message to the data store. Select is basically to read all the messages in in a loop. We can read all the messages and process them. Get means you can read only one particular message. Delete means delete just one particular message. All right, so first let's write, then we will read. So click on write, and it has some fields like data store name. So here we can give any name just to so that will be our like a point. I mean the name we're using, that we will just save the message and read the message. So I can say right now I can say local underscore data store, and right now let's see if we click here, as you already seeing 0, but yeah, nothing is there. So I'll say local ds, and there is two catch here: visibility. Okay, so make sure you select the global. If you want to read from the same iFlow, that is where you will use the integration iFlow, this option. But let's say if you want to read from a different iFlow, no matter same package or a different package, you have to use the global. Okay, so since I will create a different iFlow in the same package, so I will select global. All right, so that is the basic setting we will do. You can just check this if you want to, or just doesn't really matter. Okay, I mean it depends by the, but yeah, for now I'm simplicity, I'm saying this is the one now ready. Okay, so this setting is done, so we should be able to write message. But what to write? For writing, what we can do, we can add a content modifier here. And in that we can put some dummy message, just for assuming in your real scenario you'll be receiving some message, and that is where it will go inside this data store. But for simplicity, I will just simply dump any dummy message. Maybe I can say something like expression type, and I will say here, let's say I can give like, I'll say log, and I can add some field like you can say timestamp, and I can add something like, or some dummy message. I'll say MSG message. Okay, so this is the message which I want to save inside the data store. So let's enable trace and deploy. Okay, so you can see iFlow is deployed. So hopefully this message should be dumped inside the data store. So let's go back here. It is deployed. If I refresh here, you see local DS and it's a global type. If I click here, you see one message is there. All right. So that means we are able to write the message to the data store. Now we'll read this message. But before reading, let me deploy this multiple times so that we have multiple messages to look into that. So this is the second one. Let me refresh it. So you see two messages are there. So let me put a few more, because I want to show you what is the like how you can fetch those messages in batches. So three, let's two more, let's do that. So hopefully we should be having five messages now. Okay, so you have five messages. Now let's go back to the package, and now we will read the those message from the data store. So I will say read data store. Okay, so iFlow is clear, basic stuff. Let me get this one. All right, so first thing first, let me show you scroll to the, so we'll be using this select. So basically we have five messages. Select means if I drag it, right, maybe I can show you. I'll drag it here. So here we just need to give the name. This is nothing but this name. So let's, or I can copy from here and put it here. All right, so this we need to make it global because we are in different iFlow. It doesn't really matter whether you are in the same package or a different package. All right, if you only select this option only when you are in the same iFlow where you're writing and reading. All right, so let's go back to the global since our iFlow is different iFlow. Here, how many messages you want to pull from the data store in one shot? We have five total. So maybe I can say for now, let it be one. Depending on the iteration, I will tell you what you can do. And when you're, when you pull the message from the data store, you want to delete the message immediately or you want to use a different method. I mean, you want to use the delete function. We have it over here. All right, so it's all depends on your use case. In this video, what I am trying to show you, we have five messages. I will pull the messages one at a time in a loop and then delete them, so that if message while while reading the messages something happened, so that you don't delete immediately. So that is why I'm not selecting this option. All right, so I'll delete this one here because we need to create a loop first. For creating a loop, we need to get content modifier. And this is where I will say I will create those variables for running the loop. So I'll just simply create exchange property and I'll say here I'll say true. Okay, so and then I will add a looping block, and in this I will use this condition non-XML type And this you can just leave it as it is, doesn't really matter. I mean, it matters, but yeah, how, I mean, if something goes wrong, then how many times this loop should run, that's the max limit you can write, and what will happen once it reaches the max limit. So those sort of things. Okay, so let's for this one we need to create a local integration. Okay, and this is where you will be selecting the data store. Copy the name again. I'll put here and I'll make it global. I'm reading one at a time. Okay, so since when the loop is running, we'll start reading message one at a time, and when all the messages are done, we'll get empty message. So let's add those conditions. And what we will be doing, we'll be deleting also, right, that message once we process that message. So for that, we have to read the message ID. So we need to extract the message ID from this message. So what we will do, we'll add a content modifier here. And in that, what we can create a property, because we'll be extracting the message ID from the message. So this we can make it XPath, because that input is always XML. I think I forgot to tell you one thing is, in the one when you're writing, right, the message should be in XML. It doesn't support any text, so that is why I created a log XML, if you have to observe. All right, so that is important thing when you're writing anything into data store. The data should be in XML format. All right, so this is the location. I will show you once we read the message. So this is the format of reading the, basically it's messages, then message, and since it's a property of that node, then the message ID is stored in the ID variable. So that is what we'll fetch and put it into p message ID. We will use this field for deleting the message. You can delete in the select also, but I don't want to delete there. I want to process the message and then delete. Process means reading and then delete later. All right. And this is where we will get option to check whether message is there or not there. If message is not there, that means we are able to read all the messages from the data store, and that is where we should stop the loop. So let's add a content modifier for stopping the loop. All right, let me add delete also. So I'll explain you. So what we are doing, we are reading in a loop, reading one message at a time from the data store, extracting the message ID. We will check whether the message is there or not there. If it's not there, we'll stop the loop. If it is there, we delete the message. And in this process you can do, that is where you will process the message. So I am not writing anything, but you assume this is the process flow. So if you want to do anything, you want to set that message to somewhere, this is where you will be doing that stuff and then deleting the message. All right, now let's fill those information for that also. So similarly, we will write the local DS, I mean that is local address, a local DS, data store name, and this should be global again, and entry ID, that is nothing but your message ID. So you already know in content modifier we have extracted the p message ID, so that is what I'm printing over here. Let's minimize that. And in this, what we can do, we can copy the loop condition variable name, and in this we will stop the iFlow if there are no messages, and here I will say false. All right, and in this condition also we have to write for checking the whether message is there or not there. So if the message is there, we will say this condition. Since it's XML, I will say messages / message, and then if it's greater than 0, that means we have a message. That and other place we can say default route. If message is not there, just stop the iFlow. Okay, so we are pretty much done over here, and I think here also let's double check. Yes, we have set the okay, we missed this one, so let's select this. I think we are pretty much done with the iFlow. Let's clean it. All right, so now let's enable trace and deploy, and you can see we have 5 messages right now. Once we deploy, all the messages will be deleted because we are processing one at a time. Let's see whether it's deployed. I think it's started and deployed. If I refresh here, let's see what happened. Okay, some error. Let's see what is that. But where is the error? Okay. Looks like something is wrong. So let's see whether we are able to read the message or not. Okay, we are able to read the message. So we have messages / message and then log. Message timestamp msg log messages. Everything's just correct. Then what is the mistake? Let's check. I think these messages are not getting deleted for some reason. Let's check whether the property is created or not, because that is what is very important to us. So I'll click over here. Let's see whether ID is having the message ID or not. Okay, so p message ID, it is there. P is equal to continue. For some reason, let's check again. Okay, this is proper. This is proper. This is proper. This is the mistake. I think our name is, yeah, t is small, so that is what is the problem. So what is happening? We are able to read the message but not able to delete. So let's deploy again. Okay, this time message is successfully executed and it is able to delete all the message and stop the iFlow also. If I refresh, you see all the messages are deleted. All right, so what is happening here? Let me summarize all again. So we have added a variable so that we can start the loop, and in loop we are reading one message at a time, extracting the message ID and checking whether message is there or not there in the when we extracting. If a message is there, then we are deleting that message, and this loops continue till we get empty messages node. And when that is where we just set the variable, that looping variable, to false, and then it stops the loop. All right, so that's how we read and write messages to the data store. All right, so that's pretty much about this video. Thank you very much.